Now for a look at what's happening and making headlines on news sites this very morning. I'm joined by eNCA duty editor, Mr. Peter Motloutsi. Fellow duty editor, morning. Good to have you. Happy Heritage.
Happy Heritage Day.
Why are you looking like a Chiefs fan?
I'm an African.
You're an African. Looking quite handsome.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining me this morning.
I am a Chiefs fan. Yeah.
You are.
Proudly.
Well, let's talk about this. The president, making headlines there on our very news website, eNCA.com. Yes. We have this story where the president is praising this new COVID-19 and cancer research. What do you make of the story?
I think it's brilliant to see billionaires who grew up in South Africa making it abroad, coming back to plow into the continent, plow into the country. I'm excited by the fact that he's saying this will be spread across several institutions. I saw Stellenbosch, I think I saw UCT, I saw VETS. So it's great that there's an initiative that will help towards fighting cancer, and I think they mentioned cervical cancer to be specific.
Yeah.
It's really great. They're talking about training oncologists, so we'll see how that pans out.
As well as, job creation, the president had to emphasize that because we know that it's been one of his priorities in terms of, creating jobs in the country. But moving on to News 24, they're leading with something quite different here. Legal action looming as UCT Senate votes in favor of policy to make vaccinations mandatory.
This is a tough one. I mean, you see this Solidarity youth guys saying, look, it's depriving us of our human rights. If you're saying we can't access certain campuses, what happens to our human rights? But what happens to life? I mean, I don't know whether you should be supporting this move, but UCT has been clear throughout the week. I listened to the spokesperson, I think on Monday, in one of their interviews, saying, look, we want to open as many campuses as we can, but right now you can't. How do you balance having students who are vaccinated and stuff and those who are not? How do you conduct teaching? It's such a nightmare for institutions right now.
It's going to be a difficult one because we know that it's not only institutions of higher learning, even with, organizations or companies like Discovery saying that it will be mandatory to get vaccinated. That will, unfortunately, it will seem to be the reality going forward, where that debate also continues about what happens if you don't want to take the vaccine.
It's a tough one. I'm not sure how universities will deal with this, but with companies, I listened to a labor lawyer the other day saying companies can actually implement Section 189 for those staff members who are refusing to take vaccines. Because, I mean, how do you operate companies? How do you make them profitable when half of your staff is working from home because they can't interact with the rest who are vaccinated? It's such a tough one. COVID really brought challenges.
It has indeed. But let's see what the Times Live is dealing with here, Peter. Steenhuisen proud of DA's recovery since my money turned his back. It seems this beef, if I can call it that, between the DA or John Steenhuisen and money is continuing from at least what we're hearing from this article.
It is, and I don't know why politicians can't really go on a podium and say, South Africans, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do for you. Well, I guess maybe I'll say that tomorrow at their manifesto launch. But why take a dig at the opposition? Why take a dig at other people who are no longer in the party? What he's saying right now in the article that they turned the corner, we'll see on the 1st of November whether that translates into votes, because they are battling for certain municipalities. And Steenhuisen in that article is saying he's worried about the smaller parties that will actually grab some of the votes from them, and that will benefit the ANC. So he's got a tough battle ahead.
He does.
Let's see if this will translate into votes instead of taking a dig at my money.
Because I think, at this point, everyone is just trying to make sure that they garner those votes with that low turnout at the voter registration weekend. That's the focus of most political parties, but it's not, it seems, for the DA. And going back to your point, yes, he's quoted here saying small parties can affect the DA. Take, for instance, a ward where the DA has a small majority but is able to hang on to that seat. And then you have smaller parties who are not interested in taking on the ANC but want to be an opposition to the opposition.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Peter Motloutsi, eNCA duty editor, for joining us for our news website roundup. All right.